say every neighborhood has that house. You know, the one where weird things happen. The one everyone whispers about during block parties. I always thought mine was normal. Until the morning. I walked outside and found a whole gazebo sitting in the middle of my lawn, like it had sprouted overnight. At first I froze. Who puts a gazebo on someone else's yard? I muttered, rubbing my eyes like maybe I was still half asleep. It wasn't small either. This thing had railings, carved posts, even fairy lights dangling from the beams. It looked like something out of a wedding catalog, which made it even more insane because I lived alone, didn't host parties, and definitely hadn't ordered a gazebo. My neighbor, Mrs. Halstead, peeked over her hedge like she'd been waiting for the moment I stepped outside. "Oh, thank goodness you're out," she called. "I thought the construction was going to wake you. They were hammering till midnight." Construction. I walked closer to the gazebo. "Who built this?" She shrugged. "No idea, dear. I figured you ordered it." I didn't reply. My stomach tightened the way it does when you realize something is very, very off. I circled the structure, searching for any clue. A sign, a receipt, a prank camera, anything. And then I spotted it. A small engraved plaque nailed to the inside of one beam. "Property of Silver and Stone Events." "A wedding company?" I whispered. Before I could process that, a white SUV rolled up the street and stopped right in front of my house. A man jumped out, tall, mid-30s, wearing a headset like he was directing a movie scene. He jogged over with a clipboard. "Morning! I'm so sorry we're late. We'll bring the chairs and flower arches in about an hour." I blinked at him. "I think you have the wrong house." He checked his clipboard. "Address 742 Willow Bend?" "Yes." "Then this is correct." "No, it isn't. I didn't order a gazebo." He frowned. "You're not Mrs. Harper?" "Do I look like a Mrs. Harper?" He looked horrified. "Oh my God!" He pressed a hand to his mouth. "We installed the entire gazebo at the wrong address." I crossed my arms. "Yeah, I figured." "Ma'am, I'm so sorry. We'll remove it immediately. But here's the thing." As he said it, I noticed something I hadn't before. A couple strolling down the street slowed to stare at the gazebo. A kid pointed from a bike. Mrs. Halstead murmured, "It's beautiful." And something inside me sparked. Something bold, unexpected. "Actually," I said slowly, "what if we didn't?" He blinked. "Didn't remove it?" "Yeah, what if I keep it?" He hesitated. "Well, I mean, the company will definitely send you the bill. It won't be cheap." I looked at that gleaming gazebo, sunlight catching the fairy lights, and for the first time in months, I felt a strange excitement. "That's fine," I said. "Let them send the bill." Because I already had an idea forming, one that was going to change everything. By the time the Silver Stone Events team finished hauling in chairs, ribbons, and crates of decorations, the whole street looked like it was getting ready for a backyard fairy tale. I stood with my arms folded, pretending I knew exactly what I was doing, even though my heart was pounding like I'd swallowed a drum. The event manager, headset guy, whose name I learned was Evan, kept glancing at me like he expected me to change my mind any second. "So," he said carefully, "you're really okay with keeping the gazebo, even if the company sends you an invoice?" I grinned, though inside I was praying this wasn't the dumbest decision of my life. "Yep." He lowered his voice. "They're gonna send a big one. I'll handle it." I had no plan, but I had an idea, and sometimes that's enough to get the universe moving. A few minutes later, Mrs. Halstead wandered into my driveway with a plate of blueberry. Muffins like this was the neighborhood's new amusement park. "You know," she said, handing me a muffin, "my granddaughter's been looking for a low-cost wedding venue. Everything's booked or too expensive." My eyes widened. "Really?" "Oh, yes," she said. "She's been devastated." Just like that, the faint spark in my chest flared into a full flame. I stepped into the gazebo, letting my fingers trail across the smooth railing. The fairy lights glowed even in daylight. The whole structure felt magical. And then a wild, impossible thought hit me. What if this wasn't a mistake? What if this was an opportunity? I called out, "Hey, Evan." He straightened. "Yeah?" "If someone wanted to book this gazebo, how much would it normally cost?" He blinked. "For a full wedding setup? Starting around 8 to 10 grand. I choked on my muffin. 8 to 10 for wood and light bulbs? and labor, and catering, and insurance. He gave me a sympathetic shrug. Weddings aren't cheap. No kidding. But behind him, I saw two joggers stop to take pictures of the gazebo. A teenager posed by one of the pillars. People were talking, smiling, pointing. A venue, a mistake, a business. Suddenly everything clicked into place. Evan, I said, stepping closer, I want you to leave it. For a week. He raised both hands. Oh, no, I can't just leave it. My boss will fire me. Tell your boss you'll get it back in perfect condition, I said. And I'll sign a temporary use agreement. I paused, trying to steady my racing pulse. Plus, I'll pay the bill, promise. He stared at me, searching my expression for insanity. You're serious, he finally said. Very. After a long moment, he sighed. Okay, I'll talk to my boss. That night, I sat on the edge of the gazebo steps, watching the lights twinkle under the darkening sky. My yard didn't look like a yard anymore. It looked like a dream someone accidentally delivered to my doorstep. And I whispered to myself, this could work. This really could work. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of cars pulling up outside. At first, I panicked. Maybe Silver and Stone had come to yank the gazebo away before sunrise. But when I looked out the window, my jaw dropped. People were lining up, not dozens, scores. Neighbors, couples, teenagers in prom outfits, a woman holding a newborn, a man in a tux, someone with a camera crew. They clustered around the gazebo like it was a landmark, whispering, pointing, taking photos. I threw on a jacket and rushed outside. Sorry, can I help you all? A young woman stepped forward, clinging to her fiancé's hand. Hi, she said shyly. We saw the gazebo on Instagram last night. Someone posted a picture and said you might be renting it out for weddings. Is that true? My heart thudded. I might. Another couple chimed in. Then three more. Then a guy in a polo shirt raised his hand and said, How much for a proposal setup this weekend? I stared at the crowd. This wasn't a spark anymore. This was a wildfire. By noon, I had written a price list on a chalkboard. I dragged out of my kitchen, the one I had used for grocery, reminders, and occasionally passive-aggressive notes to myself. Now it read, Temporary wedding and event venue. Inquire within. People in the crowd clapped. And just like that, I was in business. For the next 6 days, my yard transformed into the busiest spot in town. Evan came by every afternoon, shaking his head in disbelief as he helped organize event times. You know, he said one evening while we untangled fairy lights, you're pulling more clients than half the official venues we work with. I snorted. I'm also pulling more stress than my body can handle. He laughed, a warm, easy laugh, and for the first time, I noticed the way his eyes softened when he looked at me. But the biggest moment came on Saturday afternoon. Mrs. Halstead's granddaughter, Emma, arrived in a simple white dress. She didn't have money for a big venue. She didn't have a wedding planner. She had a fiancé, a handful of flowers, and a dream she'd almost given up on. When she stepped into the gazebo, she burst into tears. This is perfect, she whispered, and something inside me cracked open. This wasn't just a business. This wasn't just a solution to a misplaced gazebo. This was purpose. By Sunday night, I had earned enough bookings, deposits, and tips to cover the bill and then some. But when the Silver and Stone invoice finally arrived, Evan came to my door personally. You know, he said, handing it to me, my boss wants to partner with you. I blinked. Me? You turned a mistake into a miracle, he said softly. That's rare. I opened the envelope. The bill wasn't small, but it didn't scare me anymore, because now I knew something. A setback can be an invitation. A mistake can be a doorway. And sometimes, the thing that crashes into your life uninvited is exactly what was meant for you. As I turned to Evan and smiled, I realized the truth. The gazebo wasn't the surprise. The life I was building because of it was